I welcome everyone to this session. So before jumping into the actual presentation or actual session, I wanted to ask you one question. So it is just published. Okay. Okay. I see few of the people is having issue with while testing or while configure your testing environment. Okay. So going to our presentation, just let me share my screen. Okay. Okay, before jumping into the actual presentation, let me tell about myself. I'm product security engineer at Splunk. I create videos on YouTube. The channel name is Insider Learner, where I try to explain all the concept of security aspects, like in depth this research way. And I deliver talk in Black Hat Arsenal, deliver talk in OAPS Global AppSec. There's one conference from Docker itself, like a Docker hands-on chapter 6 and few other chapters from the OAPS. Apart from my work walls, I do like bike trips and hiking. So these are my recent hiking pictures from Harkitun from Uttarakhand. And the other picture is from the Black Hat Arsenal, where I presented first time this open source tool. Okay. With this open source tool, I try to solve a problem where everyone is facing issue with while setting your testing environment to start testing on your target. So it is something which I also face when you create a operating system or when you create a testing environment in virtual machines. You download your favorite operating system and you just install, and then you install tools that you required at the time of testing. And later on, after some time, your machine got purged or crashed, like whatever the issue is, and you won't be able to like trace back all the information or all the configuration you have done while installing your tools or the POCs or the information you store in that particular virtual machine. So I came up with an idea to integrate this Docker technology with all the required tools which is needed or which are, we can say, famous in the community to start working or to start testing on any of the targets. Okay, but first, what is the research? Why I choose Docker over the VM? So there are a few points that I believe it's solving those problems that you like most probably face in virtual machines while set up all the environment testing environment. So first is resource efficiency. Now, point is, Docker is providing you a very easy to way or use to testing environment where you can just spin up your container and you can able to use that container as a testing environment. It is version controlling. So if you want to go with latest information or we can say latest update, so you can just choose whatever image you have based on the tag. It can be stable, it can be testing environment, it can be whatever tags I have mentioned. It is very portable. So like whatever operating system you are using, you can just run it and use it. The other point is like low overhead. Now that point is very effective, as I also analyze this thing. It use, or we can say it do not much impact on your host operating system where you will be running Docker engine. It always use like the required information or required resources from the machine itself. Another point is fast setup, startup, and shutdown. So that you can relate as an if your virtual machine is taking a bit of time to start up and like you will be able to see that desktop. In Nightingale, you won't be able to see any kind of these things. You just run the container and all the configuration you have will be there in like within a 1 second. It is very scalable, and it is very easy to scale actually, because you can integrate this containerization system with the other KATS environment, where you can just create multiple nodes and multiple environments for your team. So let's say if you have any, let's say 15 members in the team, so you just create a separate 15 instances, and they can all manage by Kubernetes. So that is something which I uh, uh, planned for future development, and like the development is still is in progress. Okay, so since those points are the research point where I majorly focus on, but in this slide, I'm telling you what exactly Nightingale is, and what are the things that you can just go through with that. So it's an open source. So now the best thing of open source is like you can just like you have the whole source code. You can read that source code and you can contribute that source code, and whatever you want to suggest, you can do that as well. Uh, so Docker as an technology, it create an isolate environment, and it is very consistent to repeat your testing processes. Now what does it mean is like whenever you need that container, you just run it and use it, and if you not use it, or if that container is not needed, you just close it, and you can save a hell lot of resources from your host operating system. Next is it saves time and efforts when rerunning tests. Now what exactly does it mean? So um, when you start testing on any kind of environment, so it gives you a more resources, or we can say effective resources from your host, in order to speed up, in order to perform in order to better perform from your container itself. It will not lag, it will not hang your operating system. It will require the resources whenever it needed, based on the request you are sending from the container. Another point is like uh, so I believe this point is very important, because it allows you to not install, or we can say it eliminate that particular part, to installing multiple programming languages and modules that required for the tools which we are using nowadays. And there is a feature like if you've not found any tool that you think that it should be there, so you can just install it as well. Now next point is like as I mentioned before, this is in Nightingale, it is very fast booting process. Now you can quickly spin up and tear down the testing environment. What exactly does it mean is like, so in virtual machine, when you install the tools, when you do the things and it got purged, you can't be able to revert back to that environment. But in Nightingale, let's say today if you are running a container, and next day you won't be able to run that container because it got purged or crashed. Now you can run, or you can create a new container, and all the configuration of your tools that you required while testing, it always there. You don't need to like install or git pull or sort of process. You don't need to do anything. So everything will be there only. You just run the container, use the tool, and if you face like if your container is not working or not responding, you can just purge it and create a new container. So this is the fast process I uh, researched on that particular thing, which again, if you go to the third point, or again the same point, it really fast your process, and it won't give you a problematic situation where all information will be purged or something like this. Also there's one point here is like you can bind your volumes. Now volume is nothing but your host environment drives, where you can store all the POCs or all the information that you will be getting, or you will be saving while testing. So it is nothing but you can just bind your host volume to your container volume, and whatever you save inside the container, or we can say inside the Nightingale, it will save, or it will create a backup in your host machine runtimely. So the moment when you create a file, it will save a copy of that file into that host machine where you have bind your volumes. Now, as I said before, this is the part of the research only, so it is very resource efficient, and it only required the necessary resources at the time of testing. What exactly does it mean is like, if your containers required more RAM, then it will take from your host machine whatever is necessary at that time. If your containers required more space, then again it will like take from your host machine and perform all the operations that you are performing for the targets. Also, the another point is very important, like that's why I created this open source tool, is it support vulnerability assessment and penetration testing of any scope. So most of the time people asking for mobile pen testing, so you can use that as well. You can connect your mobile, or we can say rooted mobile, with this container. The only required point, or we can say necessary point, is like all the devices should be under same network. Then only it can communicate with your container, and it can perform all the actions that we use to perform in mobile pen testing as well. um Again, as I mentioned, it required it include all the tools. And now next point is very important, I can say, because you can use that container over the browser by just calling your local host and port, whatever port or port you are running with that container. Why this is important? Because when you able to log in, when you're able to access that particular terminal, or we can say interactive terminal, over the browser, you will be, at the same time, you will be able to perform or do research on like whatever your findings and whatever information you are getting after running any tool, or after getting any output from the tools. Okay, now it is very platform independent. Now, what exactly does it mean is uh, you can run this Docker image on any kind of platform, like whether it can be Windows, whether it can be Mac OS or Linux. So you can run that. The only required thing is you need Docker engine or Docker application. Okay, so these are some of the snaps that I take from my environment. So as you can see, this is the local host running over the browser. This is the local host. Now this terminal look like this, and whatever tools you are using in your testing environment, or we can say traditional testing environment, so you can use any kind of tool here, and you can just able to perform actions that you supposed to do for a target while testing. So let's say if you want to go with who am I, if you want to go with MSF console, if you want to go with ADB Connect that I've mentioned before, like if you want to go with mobile pen testing, the only required thing is like the IP should be, or the network should be common for all the devices if you want to communicate. Here you can see the list of devices, and here you can see the ADB shell which is connected, and this is my routed device. So I connected this device with the same Wi-Fi and able to perform that. So there is a option called TCP ADB shell over the TCP. There is a option in developer option. So if you on that thing, you will be able to connect your device without USB. So this additional feature I found in this routed device. So that is very useful. While if you don't want to connect your device with USB drive, then you can just connect over the TCP. Nmap, very famous again. So I just test the very famous website, or so-called vulnerable website as well. So I just did that as well, and it scanned that thing as well. Okay. So time to discussion. So we can discuss over here. We can discuss like over the GitHub channel as well. So let me share just a sec. Suraj. Okay, if you can scan this QR code, you can do that. If you don't, then you I just share this link over the chat. Just open that and type discuss. So you will be able to see that discussion panel in my GitHub repository. So all the best questions will be discussed there. Not best, and you can put the silly questions as well. I don't mind at all. So this is something which I have created, and yeah, I mean, this is it from my end. So any questions, anything that you want to ask over the chat, feel free to go. um, okay, best resources to get start with Docker according. Okay, so best resources I would suggest, and I suggest everyone to go with the documentation of any kind of technology you want to work with. So that's the best thing if any new technology is providing you, because they have provided the information based on the research or based on the depth knowledge of that particular technology. So I suggest to go with that documentation. Do you have any future plans to make? Okay, that is something very good question. Let me open that as well. Just give me a second. So when you go to this repository, there is a issue section where I have created issue for myself just to track the future records or future development plans. So there are few plans that I'm already working with, and few are already closed. So currently I'm working with working node 2, and these are having integration of Zap, integration of Active Directory, just to provide a integration of for the companies. They like for those companies who don't want to go with any kind of commercial softwares, right? So they can use that as well. There are scalable like plans as well to implement on K8s, integration of Active Directory, as I said, integration of Prometheus and Grafana integration, just to make sure like if you create multiple nodes, then you can able to track what or how and by what level of request is being passed from this container to any kind of target, and you can record everything like you can record the users, you can record who you like what who user is having more requests, and what is the uptime, what is downtime. If there is a container is down or node is down, then you can just able to troubleshoot that and everything. Like you have that monitoring system to monitor whatever issues you are facing while you are testing with your team. Now that these future plans are for the teams, or we can say a group of people who want to go with any kind of testing environment which is already set up, and you just need a URL and credentials. And now credentials are again Active Directory credentials. So these are my future plans. Are you No, Bimal, I am planning to complete my Leh Ladakh track. No, I don't have any I mean plans, but we'll connect over a social platform for sure. Any more question? Hmm. No, this is not my specialization. I have done or I have created this when I was working from home, and I mean everyone was working from home in the COVID time. So No, this is not my specialization. I have done it after 1.5 years of working from my first company. In this job, oh, that's a great question. Um, okay, so how do I start? Like I like before going to sleep, I just apply for the few of the companies which is listed in the LinkedIn, and for that, I give few of the interviews to get to know like what questions they are asking, how what are the levels of questions, what are the thinking of them, like how they are expecting from you to give that answer to the asked question, and then so it was a complete experimental. So you won't be able if you won't be able to select, you just note it down all the questions you've been asked in the interview, and try to answer those questions in your language, and expect in the next interview that those same questions will be asked again. So this is how I got my first job in this industry. There is no page on GitHub that you. Okay, so that link. Okay, GitHub page is not there, but okay, let me type it. Mm, here you go. Okay, can you give me a small? Okay, small demo. I currently don't have this demo thing in this laptop. Okay, what you can do is let me. Okay, you have my github.io page. Just type video on that, and you will be able to see all the demonstrated video, or the recorded video of how I install that, how I go through with that, and any kind of tools running. So everything is there in the video. So there is a playlist called Nightingale itself on the channel. You just go and watch it. How to get job in cybersec for freshers, and what technology should a student learn to get, and okay. So, okay, I believe I'm not that in that position to give you a great insight about this. But what else I have mentioned before, to get a job, like try to understand the things from the interviewer perspective, and note it down. Everything, note it down. You just create a notion as well. I mean, you just write up questions. You don't need to remember anything, but like if you remember that, you just write it and try to find the answer. And for okay, for freshers, I would suggest there is a great platform which I also do testing till today. It's Portsrigger Labs, and these are like beautifully crafted and beautifully provide you a demonstrated lab where you can just get to know about the vulnerability. And one thing I want to add here is like you just first go with the server side vulnerability, because the impact of those vulnerabilities are more uh, as I feel. So this is completely my personal opinion. So you can go through with that. I also going those labs till today. Like if I stuck in some kind of concept or sort of thing, so I always go through with that. Is this an OAuth project? Yeah, it is. It is. It is listed under. I forgot that category. So yeah, it is listed under open source project list. What is your favorite thing attending? Okay, my favorite thing is like people, like great people are coming and throwing their or showing their research on like whatever things they have invested on, and they bring something cool stuff with the audience. So uh, this is the favorite thing of attending conferences. No. So few of the forensics tools are considered as binary. So there is a folder, I believe, in the parent folder only. So you'll be finding all the tools regarding the forensic. So there is a section of wiki page where I have created a section of tools list. So you can go through with all the tools that I have installed. So you will be able to see all the list based on the categorization also. This is for Bimal. Any more questions? We have 3 minutes left. Yeah, till then, I highly recommend to put your questions over the discussion panel. It really helped me to track down whatever people you are thinking about and what are the ideas you have. So I'm very happy to respond those and try to understand what your thinking is and how you are like how you are seeing this thing as in a future, like whatever updates you want. Thank you, Rajkumar.
So, any more question, guys? Okay, thank you, Raja. That was an awesome talk. So, we have one more question. What made you get into cybersec?
Oh, okay. So when I was in my first semester in 2015, so there was a conference, or not conference actually, but uh, there is something in IIT Jodhpur, MBM college. So we went there. We attend one lecture, uh, I believe hacking or sort ethical hacking sort of thing. So we attend that, and I got very fascinating about like how the information is passing over the network and how you can break the things, and same time you can create the things. So that's how I got interested in this domain. And from 2015, like from my first semester only, I started looking into the things and download all the lectures, taking internet from the faculties members. And because at that time, like 2G was the only survival for us. So like I like do the all the things like watching those tutorials, following those, installing multiple operating system, and downloading operating system from library internet, because that internet was completely free. So so that's how I started my journey, and today I'm here sharing my thoughts with these great mind people.
It's really fascinating. Uh, so, Raja, thank you so much for coming today and joining us on IWCON 2023. We're extremely happy that you're here to share your experiences with our Infosec community.